Adding and subtracting fractions is what we're going to look at in this video. It's split into three parts. We're first going to start by looking at examples like this, where the denominator is the same. We're then going to move on to looking at examples where the denominator is not the same. And then finally, we're going to look at adding mixed fractions. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left, which is I do. You are then going to press pause and have a go at the example on the right, which is you do. Now, when the denominator is the same, so the denominator is this number at the bottom. When it's the same, all you need to do is add the top. So 3 plus 1 is 4. And leave the bottom the same. Now in this case, we can simplify this fraction. So I can divide the top and bottom by 2. So that gives me the final answer of 2 over 4. Well, in fact, that can be simplified further into 1 over 2. So hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this example here. So this then becomes 3 over 5. Now we can't simplify that. It doesn't divide into any number. So we can leave our answer there. And when it's subtraction, it's the exact same thing. So the denominator stays the same. We don't need to touch that. And at the top, we just do that. And then can we simplify this? Yes, they're both divisible by 2, so that becomes 2 over 5. Now again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. So the denominator stays the same. With the top, we just do 5 minus 1, which is 4. Now in this case, it can be simplified. They're both divisible by 2, so that becomes 2 over 3. Here's some practice questions for you to have a go at. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And now we've been asked to do the exact same thing, but leave our answer as mixed fraction. So what does that mean? So if I solve this question, just like we did the last, so the denominator stays the same. At the top, we end up with 11. Now this is called an improper fraction. Why is it called that? Because the number at the top is bigger than the number at the bottom. So when you have an improper fraction, you can write it as a mixed fraction. And what you do is you do 7 divided by 11, which is what the fraction is. Now 7 goes into 11 one time. So we're left with a remainder of 4. So then I can write this as a mixed fraction. So the number at the bottom stays the same. The 1 comes here and the 4 goes there. So hopefully you can see where these numbers have come from. So if I just use my yellow highlighter, so the 7 at the bottom stays there. The 4 comes from here, which is the remainder. And then the 1, if I use red, comes from here. Okay, so hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at the example on the right. So the bottom bit stays the same. Now at the top we have 7 plus 5, which gives us 12. Now again, this is an improper fraction. We can simplify this though. They're both divisible by 4. So that becomes 2 and that becomes 3. And now if I write that using the bus stop method, so 2 goes into 3 one times with a remainder of 1. So that then means I'm left with 1 over 2. And again, you can look at the colors to see where that came from. So the 2 stays at the bottom just like it was there. The 1 at the top comes from the remainder, and then the 1 outside comes from that there. So press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now moving on, how do you deal with cases where the denominator is not the same? Well, we need to make it the same. How can we do that? Well, one of the ways we can do that is we can multiply this fraction by this denominator. So if I just write that here, and then I can multiply this fraction by this denominator. And now you might be wondering, why would you do that? Well, you need to look at what actually happens when I do that. So if I multiply this fraction by 5, that is going to become 5 over 10. I've multiplied both the top and bottom. If I now multiply this fraction by 2, the top and bottom, that becomes 6 over 10. Now notice what's happened. The denominators are now the same. I just add them together. That's 11 over 10. Now in this case, we can just leave it as an improper fraction. We don't need to write it as a mixed number because the question didn't ask for it. So again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at the example on the right. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by 3, and I'm going to multiply this fraction by 4. And then that gives me 3 over 12 plus 8 over 12, which becomes 11 over 12. Now that can't be simplified, so that's a final answer. Here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And now moving on, we have mixed fractions. Now to add mixed fractions, you need to convert them to improper fractions. And the way you do that is you multiply the 1 by 3, and then you add the 2. So the fraction stays at 3, and this fraction stays at 4. So all I've done is I've copied that there and that there. So those remain the same. Now the number at the top, the way you get that is you do 1 times 3, which is 3, and then you add 2. So 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5. And again, same here, we're going to do 4 times 2, which is 8, and we're going to add the 3 from there, which is 11. And now I just need to solve this as usual. So how do you add these two fractions? Well, I need to make the denominators the same. So I'm going to multiply this side by 3, and I'm going to multiply this side by 4. That's 20 over 12 plus 33 over 12, which then becomes 53 over 12, and that can't be simplified, so that's my final answer. So again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. So the denominators stay the same. So I'm going to do 8 times 3, which is 24. And then I'm going to add 5 to that, and that gives me 29. And on this side, it's 1 times 3 plus 3, which is just 4 over 3. Now all I need to do is make the denominators the same. So multiply this side by 3, multiply this side by 8. And that then becomes 3 times 29, which is 87. Divide that by 8 times 3, which is 24. That's your 24 there. 8, 16, 24, 32. And then it's just a case of doing 32 plus 87, which is 119 over 24. And that's the answer there. So here's some questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now, if you would like more practice on this, you can download the full worksheet over on my website, which is linked in the comments down below. And if you found this useful, please do check out the rest of my videos.